Thank you very much. Please take your seats. We will take the prayers afterwards. Your Excellencies, heads of institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This morning, it's a great privilege for me to welcome every one of us to the National Anti-Money Laundering and the Combating of the Financing of Terrorism and the Combating of the Proliferation Financing Compliance Summit for the year 2025. The theme of this summit is Shaping the Future of Financial Integrity in Nigeria, Emerging Trends and Best Practices. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit has been forefront of the efforts of the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing, not just in Nigeria, not just in West Africa, contributing to the global efforts of combating what we refer to as AML, CFT, and indeed PF. This morning, once again, is a demonstration of the country and the leadership of the agency to drive a process that will transform the landscape ahead of the completion of the processes that is on and looking forward to the third round of the mutual evaluation of the country. This morning, therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my great privilege to welcome every one of us. With your kind permission, I will try to establish a protocol for us to follow. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this morning, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is ably represented by no other person but His Excellency, Senator George Akume, CON, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome him. We have a very large number of people in this hall this morning. I am sure about 50% of you must have listened to me in the past. And for those who have listened to me, who are tired of hearing me say this morning, you will hear it again. Every time I had the privilege to anchor an event like this, I prefer to hear a very loud and sound applaud each time I made a statement. And that has not been practiced this morning. But just as a form of encouragement for putting our hands together for His Excellency the President, I noticed we are quite stingy. This morning, I want us to be generous. So with that generosity, I want to spur you about what will make you generous. A medical doctor once told me that on your palms, there are veins that convey blood to different parts of your organs with the help of your heart to pump it. So every time you have opportunity to put your hands together, you're actually taking opportunity to massage your hands and the palms. And the more you do that, the better they convey blood to your organs. The better they convey blood to your organs, the better your organs function. And the better your organs function, the longer you live. And the longer you live, the better you contribute to Nigeria. And therefore, with this understanding, without you paying for massage, well, if you want to pay, you can see me after the meeting. I'm giving you an advice now to generously put your hands together for His Excellency. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Don't let it pump too much. It seems like we want to stay around here for a long time. Thank you and welcome. Your Excellencies, while we expect the Honorable Minister of Interior and the Honorable Minister of Budget and Planning, permit me to welcome the representative of the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. The Speaker this morning is ably represented by an Honorable, a scholar by excellence, a man who has contributed greatly to academic, to politics, to administration in this country. And therefore, it's my great privilege and honor to welcome the leader of the House of Representatives, of course, no other person but Honorable Julius Ihoveri. Please, let's put our hands together to welcome him. Thank you very much for that generosity. Permit me at this point to welcome the regional head of an ECOWAS specialized institution. This happens to be a body that is responsible for the mutual evaluation of countries in West Africa and indeed beyond West Africa to other non-West African member countries. And this morning, we have him in person here seated, all the way from Dakar, Senegal. No other person, a performing, able-bodied, intellectually mobile, administratively sagacious, Mr. Edwin W. Harris Jr. Please put your hands together to welcome him. Mr. Harris is the performing Director General of Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, known by its French acronym, GIABA. And by the way, GIABA is an ECOWAS specialized institution. At the same time, the FATF is a general body for West Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have a minister who is not present but ably represented this morning, the Attorney General of the Federation, who happens to wear the cap of the chair of the Ministerial Committee of GIABA, is ably represented by Mrs. Nkiru Nebo Jones. Thank you very much for joining us on behalf of the Minister. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one thing that is common and popular in this country is the fight against corruption. And someone said, is this synonymous to Africa? Is it synonymous to Nigeria? And I did answer to say, no, it is not. We have an array of agencies here present that are fighting corruption in this country. And I salute your courage, I salute your efforts, and I would like to recognize this morning the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission. The chairman is seated in person this morning, my able brother, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu. Please, let's put our hands together to welcome him. This morning, the institution that indeed started the Financial Intelligence Unit, gave birth to it, nurtured it, breeded it to grow to the point we have today. And at the helm of affair of this institution is another able, sound legal luminary, a refined mind with an unusual commitment, an unusual passion and commitment to rid corruption out of our country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's with the pleasure that I welcome the Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much for the great work you are doing. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, also, we have the Code of Conduct Bureau head here today. This is one institution that have made a tremendous mark in this country. And with this courage, with this effort, I salute you and welcome today Dr. Abdullahi Bello. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a gathering that brings only Nigerians together. I would like to welcome and recognize our great partners. We have from the British High Commission. The High Commissioner himself is here in person, and I would like to welcome you this morning and thank you for joining us this morning. I would like to welcome Mr. Richard Montgomery. Again, opportunity to better your health. Put your hands together for him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have in our midst this morning the Director General of Information of National Information and Technology Development Agency, NITDA. Welcome, Mr. Kashiru Inua Abdullahi to our midst. Thank you for joining us this morning. As your applaud keeps reducing, I will put medical facilities around here with the permission of the SGF to check before you leave here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I also have here in our midst this morning no other person but Mr. Bomanga Usman Jeda. He is the MD of the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority. Please, let's put our hands together to welcome him. I would like to specially, and indeed, I mean specially, welcome someone I consider to be an engine room for a drive of change across our borders, across income generation in this country, a man with multiple competencies, an individual. Permit me to welcome the Comptroller General of the Customs Service of this great country, Mr. Bashir Adewale Adeniyi. Please, let's put our hands together to welcome him. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is an array of individuals with high capacity. And again, in a gathering like this, you will permit me to keep recognizing these individuals as we go forward. I would like to welcome the presidents of the Compliance Institute of Nigeria. This is an institute rolling out experts across private sector and the public sector. Permit me to welcome Mr. Patterson Boleha. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome him. This, of course, speaks to the partnership that is going on within the public and the private sector. And indeed, we need this partnership to drive the change that we desire. And we have the chairman of the Association of Chief Compliance Officers of Banks in Nigeria. No other person, Mr. Boye Ogumolade, is here. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome him. Also, one very important person that I'm yet to mention is where every time you pass through or you mention their name, you smile, because it speaks to your pockets. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who is unavoidably absent, and he has asked the deputy governor in charge of FSS to represent him. Kindly welcome with me Dr. Philip Ikiazo, is representing the governor of the Central Bank. Please, let's put our hands together to welcome him. Thank you very much. Because of time, Your Excellency, you permit me to go through these fellows. We have the representative of the coordinator of the National Commission for Small Arms and Weapons. We have, of course, from the US Embassy, our brother here, working with the NFIU and making their commitment and support. I want to thank the US Embassy for joining us this morning. Permit me also to welcome from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Obianya Onowu is representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Please, thank you very much for joining us, Your Excellency, this morning. We have representatives of the DSS DG, Teresa Ogonu. We have the representative of the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission. We have the representative of the MD of OBSA. We have representative of the DG of SEC. We have representative of the French Embassy. We have also representative of NDLEA. We have also the presidents of NASIMA from the private sector as well. All of this array of dignitaries, we want to welcome every one of you. I'm sorry if I did not recognize you and wait for them to put hands together for you. Together for all of them now, we are permitted to put our hands together for them. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, permit me to manage time and commence the proceeding. I would like at this point to invite for a welcoming remarks. The person I'm inviting now took over the helms of affairs at the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit as an astute administrator, excellent personality, cosmopolitan attire, an excellent individual with also multiple competencies. She has driven the Financial Intelligence Unit from a base to have a new, fresh breath of global recognition, attracting respect, providing support, and changing the narratives. This morning, permit me to welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Hajiya Hafsat Abubakar Bakari. Please put your hands together as you welcome her.
Good morning, Your Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume. Because of time, may I respectfully ask that I should be granted the privilege of following the protocol that was clearly established. It is with great honor and a profound sense of purpose that I stand before you to formally welcome you to the National Anti-Money Laundering, Combating Terrorism Financing, and Counter-Proliferation Financing Compliance Summit, organized by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. This event serves as a medium to consolidate the gains of our national AML CFT CPF strategy. The aim is to further strengthen the Nigerian financial system, build capacities of our reporting entities, covering the formal and informal sector, and also foster partnerships necessary to effectively combat money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing. Today, under the theme, Shaping the Future of Financial Integrity in Nigeria, Emerging Trends and Best Practices, we are gathered as leaders, subject matter experts, and practitioners from across the political class, financial sector, regulatory bodies, government agencies, international organizations, and the private sector. In our midst, we are also honored with the presence of representatives of the global watchdog, financial watchdog. In the words of our dear Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, in his 2024 New Year message, aptly stated, and I quote, "Our destinies are connected as members of this household of Nigeria. Our language, creed, ethnicity, and religious belief, even when they are not the same, should never make us walk at cross purpose." End of quote. Your presence here underscores the critical importance of the need to imbibe compliance culture, which represents our shared commitments to protecting Nigeria's financial system from abuse by criminals and non-state actors. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit comes at a pivotal moment in our nation's journey. It is noteworthy to mention that the 2019 Mutual Evaluation Report conducted by GIABA brought to light areas where we needed to strengthen our AML, CFT, and CPF regimes. Consequently, as a result of the deficiencies identified, Nigeria was placed under enhanced monitoring by the International Cooperation Review Group, which we called the ICRG process, otherwise known as the so-called grey list, an outcome that has amplified both the urgency and importance of our collective response. The NFIU, in collaboration with our partners, both domestic and international, has worked tirelessly to address these findings and implement far-reaching reforms, from improving compliance mechanism to fostering better interagency cooperation. According to Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai and Prime Minister of the UAE, a country that also exited the grey list recently. So we all know that it's not just Nigeria. And I quote, "The more we achieve, the more we realize how much more we can achieve." End of quote. Therefore, as a country, there is a need for us to continuously sustain the gains we have made, especially as crimes continue to evolve and global standards grow increasingly stringent. This summit, therefore, is more than a gathering. It is a clarion call for all of us to align our efforts, identify innovative solutions, and reform our commitment to building a resilient and transparent financial system that meets the highest international standards. Notably, we have made giant strides in AML CFT obligations by all our reporting entities, and we thank them for that. Amongst other things, this summit seeks to sustain a compliance-first culture across all reporting entities in Nigeria. Therefore, our vision at the NFIU is to be the leading FIU in the world, because currently, I will proudly say we are already amongst the best, which is why we are witnessing the convergence of compliance officers across the financial sector who are primarily responsible for AML CFT reporting obligations. Over the next 2 days, we will delve deeply into these issues through a series of high-level discussions and technical sessions. Topics such as improving compliance culture, managing contagion risk, and enhancing cooperation between regulators and industry stakeholders will be at the forefront of our agenda. A special focus will be placed on leveraging technology to strengthen data sharing mechanisms and risk assessment. In today's interconnected world, where financial transactions transcend borders and technologies, which continue to disrupt traditional systems, we must be prepared to harness innovation to outpace those who seek to exploit our systems. This summit is also an opportunity to set our sights on the future. The next mutual evaluation of Nigeria by GIABA is in the year 2027. And you would all agree with me that it's just around the corner. And this presents an opportunity for Nigeria to demonstrate not only compliance, but leadership in the global fight against financial crimes. This requires us to embed a culture of continuous improvement, ensure sustainability in our reforms, and foster a mindset where compliance is seen not just as a regulatory burden, but also as a foundation for growth and stability. Distinguished participants, the fight against financial crimes is not one that any single entity can win alone. It requires the collective strength and commitment of our political leaders, regulators, financial institutions, law enforcement, and security agencies, international partners, and all our domestic partners in the private sector, and also members of the press. Collaboration must be at the heart of our approach if we are to succeed in mitigating risk and safeguarding our financial system. The presence of such a diverse and distinguished of stakeholders in the public and private sectors here today is a testament to the power of collaboration. We are united by a common purpose. Therefore, let's just seize this moment to strengthen these partnerships and work towards a shared vision of a sound financial system. Before I conclude, allow me to extend my deepest gratitude to the many individuals and organizations whose efforts have made this war against financial crimes possible. To His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, we are grateful for your exemplary leadership and unwavering support for initiatives that uphold financial integrity and national security. To all the members of to the honorable ministers, the three-line ministers of the Interministerial Committee, and other high-level dignitaries present here today, your guidance and commitment have been instrumental in driving the monumental progress we have recorded in our AML CFT regime. To our FATF-style regional body, GIABA, thank you for your technical support, collaboration, and shared vision for a more transparent regional financial system within West Africa. The Director General of GIABA has been very supportive of initiatives and programs aimed at transforming not just the NFIU, but our counterparts across the region. To all the heads of our domestic and international agencies and partners who have continued to strengthen AML CFT supervisory, regulatory, and enforcement frameworks, we pledge our continued partnership and cooperation. I cannot mention everybody, so please, I'm commending all of you today. To the officers of our esteemed organization, NFIU, I want to appreciate and commend you for your continuous dedication, sterling performance, and steadfast commitment to national services. Finally, to all participants, including members of the press, thank you for your dedication, your expertise, and your contributions to this important cause. Your presence here is a reminder of the strength that comes from collective action. As we begin this summit, I urge each one of us to approach the discussion with an open mind, a collaborative spirit, and a determination to drive meaningful change. Let us focus not only on identifying challenges, but on charting a clear path forward, one that ensures Nigeria's financial systems remains robust, transparent, and resilient. According to Mark Sanborn, and I quote, "In teamwork, silence isn't golden, it is deadly," end of quote. This is the reason why we at the NFIU will continue to seek and advocate for collaboration and cooperation with our strategic partners and relevant stakeholders in the fulfillment of our mandate. In today's complex business environment, compliance is not just about adhering to laws. It is about fostering a culture of integrity that drives long-term success. I believe that together we have the power to shape a future where financial crimes have no place in our society, where compliance is a cornerstone of our national identity, and where Nigeria stands as a global leader in financial integrity. Once again, on behalf of the gallant and dedicated officers of the NFIU, I formally welcome you to the first National AML CFT CPF Compliance Summit for reporting entities and other relevant stakeholders. I wish you all fruitful deliberations with positive outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again, my dear sister, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. Clearly, she has highlighted very important and salient points there, particularly the efforts of Nigeria at exiting the ICRG process, which significant progress has been made, and of course, one buoyant, audacious dream of being the best financial intelligence unit around the world. And I say a very big amen to that. We're looking forward to that. Thank you very much. The way she read the speech, you would think she's a broadcaster. If you continue like this, you will chase us out of this business. Once again, thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for her. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have the arrival also of the representative of the Inspector General of Police. The IGP is ably represented by DIGD Galadanchi. PSC MNI is the Force Intelligence Department's head. Permit me to welcome him. Please, let's put our hands together for him. We also have the Commissioner of Police, Uche Ifeanyi Henry. He is the Director in charge of Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center. Please, let's welcome him to our midst this morning. You will notice that the number of times you have put your hands together this morning, if you are counting, it's now the 33rd time. And before we go, we probably get to 100. At this point, I would like to welcome the President of a very important reporting entity, the Bureau de Change. This entity is important because they have been incorporated into this fight and they have demonstrated very big commitments. And this morning we have the President here, Alhaji Aminu Gwadebi. Please, let's put our hands together for him. We also have the Director General of NIPS, the Interbank Settlements. The Director General is represented by the Chief Compliance Officer. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Can we be generous to put our hands together for her? To save our time, I welcome all the MDs of banks here, and we have an array of them present, the MDs, deputy MDs, and the representative of MDs of banks, of fintechs, of insurance company and capital market operators, and other reporting entities. We want to welcome every one of you for finding time to join us this morning. I would like at this point to invite from the Financial Intelligence Unit, no other person but the Chief of Staff to the Chief Executive Officer, who will be taking us an overview of Nigeria's progress and the implementation of the Nigeria ICRG Action Plan. Please welcome with me Mohammed Ahmed Shahid.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to proceed on the already established protocols in the interest of time. Your Excellencies, as the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit mentioned in her speech, you may kindly recall that in February 2023, Nigeria was placed on the Financial Action Task Force International Cooperation Review Group list of jurisdictions under monitoring. This listing was based on a set of deficiencies that were identified during the 2019 mutual evaluation exercise of the country that was conducted under the aegis of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa. In 2021, the report of this evaluation was published, and this report identified 84 strategic deficiencies cutting across the entirety of Nigeria's anti-money laundering, counterterrorism financing, and counter-proliferation financing framework. Based on this outcome, Nigeria was placed under the ICRG process, where we were given a period of 1 year in which to make remedial actions and to address these deficiencies. Based on this directive, a national task force was constituted with the NFIU acting as a secretariat. That national task force included representatives from all the agencies that were involved in the implementation of Nigeria's framework and the representatives of the private sector. The task force produced a strategic implementation roadmap that had 365 separate tasks and quickly got to work on those activities. At the end of that 1 year period, the Financial Action Task Force adjudged that Nigeria had addressed 69 of those action items, leaving us with 19 items that were yet to be addressed. And it was on that basis that Nigeria was added to the FATF's grey list in February 2023. Since that listing, Nigeria, through all the agencies that are represented here and many that are not in this room, has taken significant action to continue with those reform efforts. And over the 2 years that we have been on that list, the NFIU has continued to coordinate those efforts and has continued to work with all the agencies to submit regular reports to the Financial Action Task Force every 4 months. At the beginning of January this year, Nigeria had submitted its 5th progress report, which identified the actions that the country had taken. In that 5th progress report, we demonstrated that we had made significant progress. And on that basis, the FATF is expected to make a determination within the next month as to the extent of compliance with the action plan. At the current stage, Nigeria is adjudged to have implemented 50% of the action plan that we were committed to implement in February 2023. Out of the remaining action items, Nigeria, through the efforts of all the agencies and the leadership of the heads of agencies and the Interministerial Committee, is confident that we will be able to exit the grey list by the deadline of May 2025, which was established. Distinguished Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to present a very short video which outlines the background to this grey listing and the progress that we have made so far. as a way to bring you the current progress and our expectations for the remaining actions, as well as the efforts that we will be expecting and the discussions that we'll be having over the next 2 days. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
The National Compliance Summit, with the theme Shaping the Future of Financial Integrity in Nigeria, Emerging Trends and Best Practices, is a timely initiative by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU) aimed at strengthening Nigeria's capacity to combat financial crimes, money laundering and terrorism financing. The summit seeks to deepen awareness, build capacity and enhance collaboration among reporting entities, regulators, and stakeholders involved in Nigeria's money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and counter proliferation financing regimes. This summit comes at a critical time when Nigeria's compliance with international standards is under close scrutiny, particularly with the findings of the second round of Nigeria's 2019 Mutual Evaluation Report, which led the country to be placed on the International Cooperative Review Group, a process otherwise known as the Financial Action Task Force (FATF) Grey List. The FATF is the global standard-setting organization for anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism and proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. It was created in 1989 by the G7 as a response to growing concerns about the influence of proceeds of crime on global financial systems, with an initial focus on strengthening anti-money laundering controls. The FATF has 40 members, primarily made up of the G20 economies and other economically significant countries from across the globe. The group works by establishing AML, CFT, and CPF standards, which are obligatory on all nations and supported by the international multinational organizations such as the World Bank, IMF, Wolfsburg Group, and the International Organization of Securities Regulators. At the heart of these standards are the FATF recommendations, a list of 40 measures which provide the basis for an effective national AML, CFT, and CPF systems. In West Africa, implementation of the FATF standards are overseen by the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, a specialized body of ECOWAS. Nigeria's evaluation was conducted under the supervision of this body, and the findings showed 84 deficiencies across the whole of Nigeria's AML, CFT, and CPF frameworks. As a result of the evaluation, in February 2023, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, identified Nigeria on its list of jurisdictions under monitoring due to these strategic deficiencies in the country's anti-money laundering and the countering financing of terrorism frameworks. The country agreed to implement a 19-item action agenda to address the deficiencies observed within 2 years and report progress made every 4 months. Inclusion of countries on the FATF grey list has significant economic consequences, including reducing overall capital inflows, restricting access to international financial institutions, and increasing the cost of doing business. To mitigate this risk, several recommendations are made to enhance the prioritization of the action plan by all relevant ministry and departments, agencies of government, and to improve coordination at both policy and operational levels. Nigeria was listed on the grey list due to some strategic deficiencies identified by the FATF. These deficiencies include Nigeria's non-comprehensive examination of the money laundering risk related to corruption and fraud, and absence of clear strategies to address this money laundering risk. Nigeria's strategic and action plan from 2018 to 2020 lacked strategic prioritization in accordance with short, medium, long-term objectives. The AML CFT strategy and action plan do not address the risk identified in the National Risk Assessment Report of 2016. Also, the use of financial intelligence by law enforcement agencies was limited due to the low level of feedback from the law enforcement agencies, as well as the lack of effective reporting on cross-border movement of currency and bearer negotiable instruments, especially for inbound passengers. Self-regulatory bodies for designated non-financial businesses and professions have a low understanding of the money laundering, terrorism financing risk. Sector supervisors were not effectively carrying out risk-based supervision of their regulatory entity. Money laundering and terrorist financing investigations and prosecution were not in line with the country's money laundering and terrorism financing risk profile. And lastly, non-profit organizations at risk of terrorist financing were not effectively monitored. To address these deficiencies, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit has coordinated the implementation of the action plan under the leadership of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, who is the chair of the Interministerial Committee on AML, CFT, and CPF. A national residual risk assessment was carried out, and typologies on money laundering relating to fraud, corruption, drug trafficking, and terrorism financing were developed. A national anti-money laundering, counter-financing of terrorism, and counter-proliferation strategy and action plan based on the National Residual Risk Assessment was developed. This is prioritized based on low, medium, and long-term objectives. Law enforcement agencies have increased the utilization of the mutual legal assistance in their investigations. Regulators have issued guidance documents and sensitized reporting entities on compliance with obligations relating to suspicious transaction reports, STR filing, politically exposed persons identification, and targeted financial sanctions implementation. The Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCUMU, issued a guidance document to self-regulatory bodies on market entry control. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has launched a beneficial ownership register which is accessible to all competent authorities. The Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority has issued its beneficial ownership disclosure regulations and has sensitized their enterprises to ensure compliance with beneficial ownership obligations. The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit has increased the number and quality of financial intelligence being disseminated to MEAs, and the processing time for incoming, outgoing MLA extraction requests has been improved. The number of money laundering investigation and prosecution relating to high-risk offenses have increased over time. A national counter-terrorism financing strategy and action plan was developed, which is being coordinated by the National Counter-Terrorism Center at the Office of the National Security Advisor. This strategy has improved the number of investigations and prosecution of individuals and entities involved in financing terrorism. The efforts of the Nigerian military in the fight against terrorism is also worthy of mentioning here. And lastly, outreaches have been carried out to sensitize NPOs at risk of terrorist financing abuse. The FATF, at in its plenary in October 2024, approved 3 upgrades based on Nigeria's 4th progress report submitted by the NFIU at that time. By this development, Nigeria was adjudged to have completed 9 out of the 19 items on the action plan. The outstanding 10 items on the action plan, as discussed during the meeting, include the following: implementation of infrastructure and processes by the Nigerian Customs Service to detect cash smuggling and enforcement of sanctions against individuals suspected of cash smuggling by relevant law enforcement agencies. Implementation of measures to ensure that the financial system is protected from the risk of abuse by terrorists and other criminals by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCUMU, include measures in the following categories. 1. The enforcement of effective market entry controls to ensure that only fit and proper persons are granted licenses to operate regulated entities. 2. The implementation of enhanced due diligence on high-risk politically exposed persons. 3. Implementation of effective risk-based supervision for high-risk financial institutions and designated non-financial businesses and professions. And 4. Enhancing the reporting of suspicious transaction reports from high-risk sector. Other items on the action plan include ongoing implementation of measures to ensure the transparency of the ownership of legal persons and the imposition of sanctions for failure to meet the obligations imposed by the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Persons with Significant Control regulations. Ensuring sustained investigation and prosecution of money laundering related to high-risk crimes. Ensuring sustained investigation, prosecution, and conviction of individuals financing terrorism. In January 2025, a delegation from Nigeria under the leadership of the NFIU as the national coordinating body for the country presented an update on progress made so far by Nigeria in our effort to delist the country from the grey list. The update included the summary of Nigeria's 5th progress report to the FATF. With this development, and based on the agreement between the FATF and the Federal Republic of Nigeria in February 2023, the country now has a final deadline of May 2025 for the completion of the action plan. Upon completion, the FATF team will conduct an on-site verification visit to Nigeria. During this visit, a team of expert reviewers will meet with all relevant stakeholders, including legislatures, to ascertain the political commitment of Nigeria to sustaining the reforms. The review team will also meet with all relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government to verify the sustainability of the efforts that have been reported by Nigeria since February 2023. In all jurisdictions that have successfully exited the grey list within the agreed timelines, a key contributory factor has been strong policy leadership and coordination, as well as effective operational collaboration, while the National Task Force and subsequently the Interministerial Committee on AML and CFT have been useful mechanisms for fostering operational collaboration. The invaluable leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has been instrumental to the rapid progress Nigeria has made. The country also got support of the National Assembly, the Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives in this regard. With the support of the co-chairs of the Interministerial Committee, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, and the Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubumi Ojo, as well as all heads of agencies involved in the implementation of the action plan, Nigeria is well placed to exit the grey list in the next few months. The efforts coordinated by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit will also help ensure the country sustains the pace of reforms and is better prepared for its next evaluation, which will take place in 2027, and becomes a global example in effective implementation of measures to prevent, detect, and disrupt money laundering, terrorist, and proliferation financing.
Thank you very much for putting your hands together before I asked you to, but now I would like to crave your indulgence with every sense of humility to request that please can we humbly rise on our feet? Can I request you to humbly let's be on our feet just for a minute? Thank you very much. Now we can put our hands together for ourselves. Your Excellency, permit me to ask you to take your seat now. Thank you very much, sir. You will surprise why I have to do this. This has two purposes. Some of us were meditating. And I don't want you to dream while you are meditating. So that effort was to keep you awake. And I can see those who are sleeping are all awake. Thank you very much. At this point, I will like to quickly, in a minute, recognize the following individuals. We have the representative of the MD of NEPSA. The MD of NEPSA, Dr. Olufemi Ogunyemi, is represented by Mrs. Jane Tapkun. Thank you for joining us this morning. You are welcome. We also have Honorable Ahmed Satomi. Honorable Ahmed is the chairman of House Committee on National Security and Intelligence. Please let's welcome Honorable. Thank you very much. We also have here Mr. Lanre Bajabia Miller. He's the Director General of Lottery Regulatory Commission. Please let's put our hands together to welcome him. We have Mr. Bola Ajamale. He is the Executive Commissioner for Operation, and he today is representing the DG of Security and Exchange Commission. Thank you for joining us this morning. We also have Mrs. Juliet Ibekaku Nwagu. She is the former Director of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and representing the Nigerian Bar Association and the Anti-Money Laundering Committee of the NBA. Please let's welcome Madam. Thank you, Madam, for joining us this morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a roll call today, but I would like at this point to invite for a keynote address. This keynote address, of course, will be taken by no other person but the representative of the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. It will be represented by the Deputy Governor in charge of FSS, Dr. Philip Ikiazu. Please let's put our hands together as we welcome him.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Senator Dr. Akume, Secretary to the Federal Government. Honorable Ministers here present, Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman Olukoyede of the EFCC, Comptroller General Adeni of the Customs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'll stand on protocols that have been observed. It's an honor to welcome you to the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit's National Anti-Money Laundering, Countering the Financing of Terrorism and the Counter-Proliferation Financing and Compliance Summit. The summit is organized by NFIU, themed Shaping the Future of Financial Integrity in Nigeria, Emerging Trends and Best Practices. Incidentally, I'm just returning from high-level meetings of the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision and the Financial Stability Institute. And AML CFT issues were right up there on the agenda. And I was able to intimate them of the progress we've made in Nigeria and our much anticipated exits from the gray list. I'd like to recognize the efforts of all the law enforcement agencies. Interdepartmental cooperation has been very high. We've worked very closely with Office of National Security Advisor, the EFCC, NFIU, of course, and all the other agencies. And we are really looking forward to exiting this grey list this year. Of course, the Director General of GIABA is here with us. We thank you very much for the support on this journey. We are at a very pivotal moment in Nigeria's journey towards strengthening our financial integrity, bolstering our economy, and maintaining global confidence in the financial system. As you are aware, Nigeria is on the track to exit the FATF grey list before the end of this year. This achievement will not only enhance our global standing, but also unlock significant economic opportunities. However, our work does not stop at this milestone. As part of the exit process, in Q3 2025, Nigeria will undergo an on-site review by an International Cooperation Review Group, ICRG, and from next year, preparations will commence for our next mutual evaluation by the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, as mentioned earlier, in 2027. The stakes are high. So is our collective determination to ensure that Nigeria does not become subject of enhanced monitoring that will make us remain or re-enter the grey list. The summit provides a unique platform to bring together key stakeholders from both the public and private sectors. It is an opportunity for all of us to reaffirm our shared commitment to completing the current action plan to collaboratively develop a forward-looking strategy that ensures compliance with global AML CFT standards. Over the course of the summit, we will share best practices, identify practical solutions to address the existing gaps in our AML CFT framework, and deliberate on critical issues, particularly how to enhance the culture of compliance across the financial sector. By improving leadership and governance, these discussions will shape the policies, actions, and partnerships necessary to build a resilient and transparent financial system that aligns with global standards. We urge each and every one of us to approach the summit with a sense of urgency and responsibility. Let us recognize the significance of our roles not only in enhancing Nigeria's compliance with FATF standards and global best practices, but also in protecting our financial system from abuse, fostering investor confidence, and safeguarding our national security. The Central Bank of Nigeria remains committed to providing leadership and support required to achieve these objectives. Together with the unwavering support of the NFIU and other regulatory agencies and industry stakeholders, we can build a future where Nigeria's financial system stands as a model of integrity and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, the task before us may be formidable, but not insurmountable. Let us seize this opportunity to align our efforts, bridge gaps, and create a roadmap that ensures that Nigeria's success, not just in the short term, but for years to come. Thank you for your dedication and expertise and your commitment to this shared vision. I wish us productive deliberations and a very successful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, representing the Governor. Very important point he has made there, demonstrating the Apex Bank's commitments in supporting the fight against money laundering, particularly not just exiting the so-called grey lists, but also preparing ahead of time for the third round of the mutual evaluation. Once again, thank you very much for that excellent keynote address. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, after this opening ceremony, the technical session will commence. And I would like to beg your indulgence to stay back to really get the grasp of the details at the technical session. One important thing that JABA is here. But JABA is not only here. The NFIU has assembled an array of experts, excellent brains, best hands in AML CFT across the region and the world. And we have a few of them I would like to mention to His Excellency. We have Dr. Buno Nduka. Dr. Buno Nduka is the immediate past Director of Evaluation and Compliance of JABA. He's part of those who will be leading the technical session. Please let's welcome him as an expert by excellence, Dr. Buno Nduka. I have privilege to introduce him for the last 14 years in different meetings. And each time I refer to him as AML CFT Compliance Manual, because many of us have to consult him when there is confusion. So he is AML CFT Manual, and I'm happy that NFIU is able to pull him down to be here with us. We have also, from the operator's experience, a man with capacity and knowledge, depth in revelation of AML CFT and compliance. He is the president of the Compliance Institute of Nigeria. He was the chair of the Association of Chief Compliance Officers of Nigeria, and also the first president of the West African Compliance Officers Forum. Permit me to welcome Mr. Patterson Bulea as part of the experts that will be engaging us. The current acting director of evaluation and compliance of JABA is here. Usually, it's very unusual to pull out practically all the operational directors in JABA. But there's one woman who is able to do that all the time, and that is Madam Afsat. Again, we have the acting director of evaluation of compliance, Dr. Jeffrey Sima is here. Please let's welcome him as well. One man that anytime you can call him and he will mention AML CFT. If you have any confusion, just tap him. He will give you 10 typologies that address that concern you have. He's an expert by excellence. He is no other person but the Director of Policy and Research of JABA. Welcome with me, Director Muazu Umar. We have, for the financial sector experts, with experience on all fields relating to financial institutions and non-financial businesses, the principal officer in charge, Mr. Giwa Seka, PC, also as part of the team. Please let's welcome him. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the NFIU has done so well by putting all these experts together in one room. And I want to thank the Chief Executive Officer for pulling this through. At this point, I would like to allow us to take some, not goodwill message, but what is referred to as assurance message. And I believe that this is deliberate to call it assurance message and not just goodwill message. It's assurance of commitments, assurance of efforts, assurance of togetherness, assurance of us to transform the landscape of AML CFT from what it is now to what we want it to be. And therefore, we won't be taking goodwill message, but we'll be taking assurance message. And I'd like to draw inspiration from the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who said in 1964, and I quote, "That a time will come where the sons of slaves and the sons of slave owners will all sit together on the table of brotherhood to decide nationhood. And indeed that time has come when we must come from our tribes, from our institutions, from where we have been working in silos, to come together as one and confront the menace of money laundering and terrorist financing. And therefore, those who I will be inviting to give this assurance message is actually to get your assurance of commitments that you are on this table of brotherhood, sisterhood with us to fight money laundering. And to start this, you will permit me to start by inviting from the parliament. Someone said, and I quote, In a lawless society, it is criminal to be law-abiding. And I take it again. In a lawless society, it is criminal to be law-abiding. When there is no law, what are you abiding by? And we have an astute administrator from the parliament. I'm quite excited that he's here in person. The House Leader, I will allow him to open the floor to demonstrate the commitments of lawmakers in when laws need to be amended, that they will be committed to amend the law in line. Demonstrate their commitments and give us the assurance. Permit me at this early time, this joyful time, to welcome my dear experts, a legislator, representative of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and of course, the House Leader, Honorable Julius Yoveri. Please put your hands together as we welcome him.
Greetings, everyone. I bring you greetings from the National Assembly. I have a message here, an assurance message from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, GCON. Mr. President, ably represented by my elder brother, the one and only Excellency, SGF, the Excellencies, the ambassadors, and the heads of agencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I think my colleagues from the House are here, Honorable Satome, I recognize you there. So I'll go ahead to read his speech. I'm adding nothing and subtracting nothing. It is a privilege to address this esteemed gathering at the 2025 AML CFT Compliance Summit. This forum exemplifies Nigeria's resolute commitment to safeguarding its financial systems and aligning with global standards in combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Nigeria has made commendable progress in advancing its anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism framework. These gains reflect a collective resolve, with the National Assembly playing a central role in enacting robust legislation and exercising rigorous oversight to strengthen institutional capacity. The 10th House of Representatives has embedded these commitments within its legislative agenda, prioritizing actions to bolster Nigeria's financial integrity. Key elements include reviewing and enacting relevant legislation to ensure alignment with international standards, enhancing oversight functions to monitor the implementation of AML CFT policies, and targeted capacity-building initiatives to equip lawmakers and agencies with the expertise to combat evolving threats. In addition, the House is fostering collaboration with international bodies to strengthen partnerships, facilitate knowledge exchange, and secure technical support. Recognizing the importance of public engagement, our agenda also emphasizes raising awareness about the dangers of financial crimes and promoting a culture of compliance and vigilance. These actions align seamlessly with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR's Renewed Hope agenda, which prioritizes economic reforms and institutional transparency as cornerstones of national development. The challenges before us are significant. With the May 2025 deadline for completing the Financial Action Task Force Action Plan fast approaching, we must accelerate our efforts to exit the grey list. This milestone represents more than compliance. It symbolizes a transformative opportunity to enhance investor confidence, attract foreign investments, and secure Nigeria's place as a leader in financial integrity. Furthermore, preparations for Nigeria's third AML CFT mutual evaluation in 2027 demand early and sustained action. The National Assembly will remain a steadfast ally in this endeavor, providing the legislative frameworks, oversight, and institutional support necessary to consolidate our gains and address any gaps. Allow me to commend the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit for its leadership in coordinating these efforts. Under the exemplary guidance of Hafsat Abubakar Bakari, the NFIU has emerged as a pillar of excellence, fostering collaboration and advancing Nigeria's AML CFT objectives. This summit is yet another demonstration of the NFIU's dedication to convening stakeholders and driving collective action. As we discuss over the next 2 days, let us remain guided by our shared vision of a transparent, secure, and globally respected Nigeria. By working together, we can meet our FATF obligations, prepare for future challenges, and build a legacy of integrity, resilience, and progress. On behalf of the House of Representatives, I assure you of our unwavering and totally undiluted support for this cause. We will continue to legislate, oversee, and collaborate to strengthen Nigeria's financial systems, ensuring they contribute to the prosperity and security of our great country. Thank you, and I wish you all productive deliberations. These are the words of Abbas Tajuddin. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for that excellent remarks that you have made, which is an assurance of the commitments of the Parliament. One thing that struck me there is the mentioning of financial integrity. Someone said, anyone that loses integrity has nothing more to lose. You've lost everything. And that is very, very key to being the identity of our great nation. You had mentioned that NFIU is standing today as a national pillar, and that is well recognized. That is absolute, and that's spot on. Indeed, putting this effort together and coordinating it make the institution and organization that remains a national pillar to all of us. Once again, thank you very much for this great assurance message from the Parliament. At this point, I would like to invite my able brother. Someone did mention that anytime you see him speaking, you might not see his face, but you will see his passion to rid this country of corruption. The passion can be felt. The passion is obvious, and the commitment is unwavering. Recently, I received someone in my home, and he said to me, we have in Lagos highest number of arrests and detention of those involved in cybercrime. What that speaks to me is demonstration of the efforts of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in dealing with not only financial crimes, but rebuilding the image of this country. Large percentage of those people are foreigners. But the damage is being done to the image of Nigeria. So the EFCC chairman is not only fighting money laundering, is fighting to build an image for this great country. And of course, his assurance message in this meeting is essential. My dear brother, I doff my hat for you. Welcome with me the chairman, executive chairman of EFCC, Mr. Ola, Olukoyede, thank you for joining us this morning.
Excellencies, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, our gathering here this morning is a demonstration of our collective effort to ensure that Nigerian financial ecosystem is free from all kinds of financial menaces. And when the tone is set at the top, you will discover that everybody falls in line. It is important for us to know that our commitment to this cause, yes, good to meet the international standard, but much more importantly, to also ensure that Nigeria also moves forward at domestic and internal interest. I'd like to salute the commitment of my sister, Ajia Hafsat Bakari, to this cause. She had to practically drag me to Singapore last year. Say, come and see how this thing is. Don't just come and see what we are faced with during the evaluation process. And for the 3 days or thereabout that I spent there, I came back with a new commitment. And we just concluded our statistics for last year. And we discovered that we have recorded over 1,000 convictions on the case of money laundering alone, over 1,000. And the rest assured. Now, that does not speak to how much problem we have in our system, no. It rather speaks to the commitment of all the agencies involved. We are getting more intelligence from NFIU now, just like never before, both reactive and also proactive. In the last 6 months, I used to ask my staff, I said, what happened? They said, because of the proactiveness of the NFIU. So I want to salute all the courage and the commitment of all the staff of NFIU. Let's continue to work together. I salute the tone that is being set at the top by the demonstration of the presence of the President here this morning, represented ably by the Honorable His Excellency SGF. I want to also salute the courage of all our partners all over the world, particularly the international partners that are here representing various other countries, recognizing the fact that this problem we are faced with is not just about a country. The menace we are talking about has assumed a very global dimension, and there is need for us to work together. So on this note, I want to thank you for inviting us and also make another commitment that this year we are going to do better, and be rest assured Nigeria is going to get off the grade list. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much, the Executive Chairman of the EFCC. Very, very sound assurance of commitment. And indeed, I remember we were together in Singapore, and that discussion held during the tea break, and coming back home, kept to his word. And we have seen the changes. I'm particularly excited to hear about the statistics. And this is evidence that the next mutual evaluation, Nigeria is getting ready already, even ahead of time. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for that commitment. We have here, very quickly, Honorable E.J. Abu Naima. He is a Federal Commissioner for the Code of Conduct Bureau. We want to thank you for joining us, Honorable, this morning. Permit me also to welcome Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He is the essay to the President on Financial Crimes and Public Prosecution. Thank you for joining us. Please let's put our hands together to welcome him as well. We also have here Association of Real Estate Developers. Like I said, the private sector is here. I also saw recently just the chairman of the operators of the capital markets here. So we have people from all array of the sectors we have within the place. Your Excellency the President, please permit me to take a very few more before we invite you as to close the session. And I would like to do that by inviting no other person or the chairman of, I call him chairman of chairmen. We don't talk often, but we exchange messages as often as possible. He's one man that have demonstrated unusual commitment, silent achiever, driving change and putting structures that we can all see the results. He's very daring and focused on results. This, my brother, is someone who can push anybody to at any time to be rest assured that job will be done. And there are not many people that are in that category of getting results each free. And this morning, permit me to each free welcome this able individual, experts, legal luminary, refined mind, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, chairman of ICPC. Please welcome him to the table.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GSFR, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Chief Executive Officer NFIU, all other distinguished personalities here present, I respectfully acknowledge and respect you. From the ICPC, I want to first thank the CEO of NFIU for all the wonderful work she has been doing, ensuring that Nigeria exits the grey listing and also we sustain that exit. From the ICPC, I want to assure you that we'll do our best to ensure that we leverage on our own mandates in fighting money laundering and other financial crimes. And also, like I keep on saying, this effort needs collaboration and synergy among all the sister agencies and relevant partners. In ICPC, we know that for us to tackle these menace, we need three things. One, integrity. Two, knowledge and courage. Without any of these three things, fighting these menace is going to be difficult. And I want to assure you that ICPC under my leadership will continue to collaborate to ensure that Nigeria sustain the exiting by the grace of God. And also I will give all my maximum support to ensure that whatever it needs, we do it. And also on our own part, action will speak. I'm not going to say anything, but in the coming days, people will see what we are going to do, and also will continue to ensure that we project the image of Nigeria in terms of this menace which has been bedeviling in this country, and also to ensure that we attract foreign investment in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the chairman of ICPC. Again, giving his assurance, demonstrating the commitment of the ICPC and working together with us. Three things he mentioned: integrity, knowledge, and courage. He is an epitome of those things he has mentioned, particularly his courage at daring what others have refused to dare. Once again, thank you very much for the work you are doing. At this point, I would like to invite. A couple of times people spoke here, and they kept saying Jaba, Jaba, Jaba. Jaba is Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa. It's an ECOWAS specialized institution. At the same time, Jaba is FATF style general body for West Africa. So Jaba is technically responsible for the discussions we're having around the mutual evaluation, including conducting the mutual evaluation of countries under its purview. And this morning, fortunately for us, we have the Director General of Jaba in our midst. He arrived from Senegal yesterday. I'm sure he's under immense pressure to give assurance, because as an assessment body, it's very difficult to give assurance because their assessment is based on the country and not on Jaba. Every time you fight your mirror, the mirror is telling you what you are seeing in me is a reflection of who you are. So Jaba stands as a mirror for us to see ourselves as we assess the country. But then, there are technical supports that Jaba can offer, and that has been demonstrated over and over again. And this morning, to continue to demonstrate that assurance and support, permit me to invite the Director General of Jaba, Mr. Edwin W. Harris Jr., to give us assurance message. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellency, heads of institution, members of the private sectors, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As Tim has set the tone, I won't give word of assurance so that tomorrow I'm not held accountable. However, I will give words that will challenge us to do better. As I sat in my seat, I was mesmerized by the high level of dignity attending this program. It presupposes two things. One, the highest level of political will. Two, the interagency cooperation, which are cardinal for the fight against money laundering. I also sat in my seat and figured out that all of this support is geared towards one thing for now, the exit of Nigeria out of the Great Lakes, which I applaud. However, Excellency, I want to challenge us that this should not only be our target, the exit out of the Great Lakes, but sustaining the gains made while on the Great Lakes. Also, adequate preparation will enhance all of the gains for Nigeria. Nigeria is strategic in our region in Africa. Nigeria has set the pace in this fight. For example, almost all of our assessors comes from Nigeria. Most of the best brain that we rely on in this fight comes from Nigeria. Additionally, Nigeria has provided both financial and technical support to most of the smallest FIU in our region. And then the question is, with all of this, why Nigeria is here on the gray list? We think that this provides an opportunity for all of the policymakers to work and have an open conversation that never again that Nigeria will take this role. Rather, Nigeria will remain a pace setter, enhancing the integrity of its financial system so that other countries will take the example of Nigeria. Before I take my seat, I will provide a brief highlight of the second round of mutual evaluation. Jaba ended the second round of mutual evaluation in November 2024 with mixed results, I will say. Almost all of our countries, including Nigeria, did well on the technical compliance. However, effectiveness, most in all of our countries performed poorly. Under the second round, 6 of our countries went under the gray list, or should, with the 6 of our countries went under the gray list because of the criteria and threshold of $5 billion. So some of our countries are not. But if it was not the case, all of our countries in West Africa could have been on the gray list. We think, even for Jaba, it is a challenge that we all do better during the third round. To date, Ghana and Senegal have left the gray list. Mali, UNSAT is coming up. And hopefully, Nigeria, hopefully, within this year. But my point is this. It is time that we work together enhance interagency cooperation, remove rivalry from our operational duties, and work in the interests of our country and the region. It is important to note that this calls reputational risks for our countries is also a fair investment that are highly needed to take care of youth unemployment in all of our country. Towards this end, JIABA will continue to support the NFIU and all other institutions in this fight. All of our resources, technical support, remain at your disposal because we believe that Nigeria is not only a strategic partner with JIABA, but Nigeria is ahead in supporting JIABA to strengthen most of our countries. We wish you well. Our teams are here to support you during the 2 days of program. Thank you very much, and we look forward to engagement. I thank you.
Thank you very much, the Director General of JIABA. Very important point he has highlighted there. It is good to exit, but this is a roller coaster. As you are exiting, you are preparing for another round of mutual evaluation. So as you are exiting, you are working ahead to sustain the gains. At this point, I would like to quickly invite, and I'm going to give you a shorter time so that we can be done with this ceremony. Permit me to welcome the Chairman of Code of Conduct Bureau, Dr. Abdullahi Bello, for his own progress reports, which is talking about their commitment and assurance to us. Thank you very much. Please let's welcome him.
His Excellency, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, represented by the distinguished Senator George Akume, the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand on existing protocol. It's my pleasure to address you at the 2025 AML CFT Summit organized by the NFIU. This summit is a reflection of our commitment to fight money laundering and terrorist financing. Our goals and the objectives of this summit aligns. One of our core mandates at CCV is to receive asset declaration from public servants, examine and investigate those declarations, and then prosecute cases of breach of code of conduct if it's necessary. The punishments for a breach of code of conduct to public servant includes asset forfeitures, banning a public servant for up to 10 years, and then removing a public servant from office. As an institution mandated to promote transparency, accountability, and integrity, we recognize that corruption and financial crimes are major enablers of money laundering and terrorism. It is therefore imperative that all stakeholders work together to build a system that deter, detect, and disrupt criminal activities. We believe that a transparent and accountable public sector is a strong deterrent to financial crimes. Let me emphasize that achieving success requires a holistic approach. It demands the collaboration of government agencies, regulators, private sector, civil society, and international community. I commend the NFIU for its unwavering dedication to safeguarding the integrity of our financial systems. Your efforts in coordinating stakeholders, providing intelligence, and fostering collaboration at national and international levels is instrumental in advancing the AML CFT agenda. As we deliberate over the next few days, I encourage all participants to engage constructively and to propose innovative solutions to address the evolving challenges in this area. On behalf of the Code of Conduct Bureau, I assure you of our full support in this critical mission. I wish you all successful summit. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. We recognize the great work that the Bureau is doing, particularly in effort to curb corruption by the system that is put in place. At this point, one very important organization that is central to the work of the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing and collation of data and statistics is the Nigerian Customs Service. And this morning we have, of course, the controller is here with us. Permit me once again to welcome him to the podium as he comes to give his assurance message. Please, together, let's put our hands together to welcome Sir Bashir Adewale Adeniyi. Thank you very much, sir.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Rep, represented by my teacher, the Professor of all professors, the leader of the House of Representatives, heads of government agencies here present. For the sake of time, permit me just to recognize all distinguished ladies and gentlemen present today. Let me speak on from the lighter perspectives. I think it's very, very good, the exercise the MC has recommended for us. As at the time he put his tracker, we were on number 33. But since then, he had made 7 recognitions, and that's about 40, and 5 speakers had spoken before they spoke, after they spoke. That's 2, so that's 10, so we're number 50. I noticed that during the video, there was an important milestone which we were supposed to clap for. We did not. So that's one silent clap. But most importantly, he did not remember to introduce our chief host, which should have given us one thunderous clapping, and that would have made it number 51. So we are only 49 short of reaching the target, and because he has done a very good job moderating this program today, please, I want us to make it number 50 and give him a big round of applause to the MC. Having said that, my job is to come in here, and I took, in the quote that he made, that when it is the job of a team, silence is not golden. And I want to give my assurance that Nigeria Customs Service would be working with all the stakeholders, particularly the NFIU, to ensure that we exit this inglorious list. And I am very happy that the DG Giaba has mentioned the fact that this is actually not our target. The target is a much wider target. We all have the obligation to work with Mr. President, who is bent on restoring our economy and restoring the image of Nigeria generally. This is the wider implication of what we are doing. And I want to give the assurance of Nigeria Customs Service that we will do our best to support NFIU as a reporting institution. It is not only important that we report currency and instruments that is incoming to the country. We have not given enough attention to those. We give a lot of attention to those that are going out of the country. And I think it's important we also give enough attention, very adequate attention, to those that are coming in. Some airlines have been implementing this regime very, very well in the past. They are no longer doing so. We're making good progress at these strategic levels when we have key stakeholders, policymakers coming together. We notice that there is some gap at the operational and tactical level. And this is why Nigeria Customs Service, working with NFIU, has agreed to champion a training program, a capacity building program for all frontline officers. And I think we are thinking of putting up the program sometimes next week. And I enjoin all of us to support this program that will be joining us, taking our names from this particular list. Once again, I wish all of us a very good deliberation as I thank you. That's number 52.
Thank you very much to my co-MC. Very humorous, very articulate. When you retire, there is job for you here. Thank you very much for keeping very important points there, particularly with the partnership with the NFIU. And one thing he has said that resonates is the fact that all of us, when we are crossing from the airports, you see his men there saying you have something to declare. But when you are coming in, nobody is asking you what to declare. It seems like we are willing to receive all. And that point he has raised is very essential. And thank you for taking that just beyond this room to an action. He's been an action man. We've seen progress in every strata with the service, and we hope to see more of that. Once again, thank you very much. If you are clapping for him, be generous. That was 53. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to round up this assurance message by inviting Dr. Kashifu Inua, the DG of Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency, to give a very brief his assurance message. Thank you very much. He's working very slowly, but he will speak very fast.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. President, heavily represented by the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. In the world we live, which is ever evolving, and digital has become a lifestyle, we cannot talk about financial integrity without IT. So we need to look at IT and the capabilities it provides. We can leverage three capabilities of IT to achieve financial integrity. Firstly, we live in a world where our systems are increasingly becoming capable. We have AI, we have blockchain and other emerging technologies that can help us to proactively monitor all financial transactions and flag any suspicious transaction. We also have a technology that is becoming increasingly integrated. We can use technology as well to seamlessly connect all agencies to have visibility of all transactions and easily exchange and manage data. And lastly, our society is becoming increasingly quantified. Everything we do is captured, stored, and processed. And we have a massive processing power that can help us analyze that big data and make sense out of it. So our partnership with NFIU is an explorational journey to see how we can use technology to not just exit from the gray list, but to sustain the gain. Because with technology, everything is possible. So we are working together to design a system that will help us achieve all this, to exit, and we have our midterm and long-term plan where we can embed emerging technology in the system to proactively monitor and predict any suspicious transaction and protect it from happening, not just identifying it and combating it. So, but technology will help us to achieve that. That's the partnership we are doing with NIDA, and I'm assuring you we'll continue and we'll achieve it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the DG. That was quite interesting for me. Technology is essential. It's a drive that will change things. And I like the fact that it's talking about prevention and not just detection after it has happened. And prevention is key. 3 years ago, I went to my favorite restaurant in Atlanta where I used to have sushi. And all the staff I knew, there was one particular one that's very funny, very welcoming. And I asked, where are the staff? They said, everybody is gone. Why? Robots are now serving the food. So they lay off 27 staff. And then this robot took over their jobs. But the thing that has happened is the impact of technology on every strata of human life. And what he has said is extremely essential. As technology is coming in, rebuild your skills, adjust your knowledge, and then we will see the changes we desire. This partnership with NFIU is essential, and we thank you for it. Before I invite His Excellency to take the address, declare this open and close the meeting, I don't want you to see me outside and say MC. Someone just sent me a message. I thought he wants to pass a message to me to introduce another dignitary. But when I went through the message, he said, I've listened to you sometimes in Cabo Verde. This is the second time I'm listening to you. I don't know your name. And that reminds me, someone called me at the airport the other day and said, MC, because MC wasn't my name, isn't my name, and won't be my name, I just kept walking until he tapped me and said, I was talking to you, MC. So that you won't call me MC, and to answer the person who sent me notes, my name is Tim Milaye. I am privileged to work under the DG of JABA as the head of JABA office in Nigeria and the principal officer in charge of communication and advocacy on acting capacity. So when you see me at the airport and you call MC, in case I did not answer you, you can just say, Tim, I am sure I will respond to you. I thought you are generous. Thank you very much. As we round up this session, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this morning he is ably represented by one man with experience in all fields. It's quite unusual to have people with that vast experience within the public space. And this morning, I think it is essential that the President has the SGF to be here, because the SGF is the engine room of the government. I am sure if we decide that this discussion will continue at the Federal Executive Council meeting, that will be harmful. The President will not put that on the agenda, but the SGF can do that, working with the Chief of Staff and others. So I think it's essential that we have the SGF here. And he's a man with experience in most fields. If you permit me, this is the 21st and current Secretary to the Government of the Federation. As an astute administrator with vast experience in politics, in administration, in public service, is the man who the caps fits. He was a Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs under the previous government, so he has experience in the executive. He has experience at the ministerial level. He was a sitting senator representing Benue Northwest Senatorial District. At the Senate, he wasn't just a sleeping senator. He was a minority leader of the Senate. This same man has served as a governor of Benue State for 2 terms. So, if you want to clap, be generous. So I say, when he took over from the then Colonel Dominic Oneya, there was skepticism of what will happen in Benue. But as a stabilizer and administrator, few weeks after taking over office, everything was stable. So this is the caliber of man we have seated today as the SGF and representing the president. What I'm saying this is to give an assignment that, sir, Your Excellency, distinguished Senator, you take this as a responsibility to ensure that Nigeria's next mutual evaluation is a success. That NFIU and all the agencies required will get all the necessary support, logistics that are required for this to be a success. Because Nigeria must set the example for Africa. Someone says, if Nigeria sneezes, West Africa catch fevers. And that is the truth. West Africa will catch fever. So Nigeria is extremely important to this region. I therefore think the president sending the engine room of the government to us here is deliberate, and therefore, as an absolute administrator, this is an assignment that he will take in addition to giving us the opening remarks and declaring this session open. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me distinguished Senator, His Excellency, Senator George Akume, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Thank you for coming.
Please be seated. Well, I have already been challenged before I commenced to read Mr. President's speech, and I want to take that in very good faith, because that is what Mr. President represents, a very patriotic Nigerian who loves this nation. He dreams Nigeria, he thinks Nigeria. And that is why, in spite of all the difficulties we encountered at takeoff, we are where we are today, making significant improvements. Well, Mr. President would have loved to be here himself, because this is a very important summit. But he's also committed to another very equally important event. Hence my presence here this morning. He is here with you in spirit as well. So permit me, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to read his statement. The Honorable Speaker to the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, GCON, ably represented by my younger brother, the leader of the House, very Honorable Ihonbere, other members of the National Assembly here present, members of the Federal Executive Council, the Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, ASFAT, Abubakar, the Inspector General of Police, ably represented, the DG Jeba, must recognize you. Once again, you're welcome. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, heads of anti-graft agencies here present, Dr. Musa, SAN, the ICPC, Barrister Ola SAN, EFCC, Dr. Bello, the Code of Conduct Bureau, the CG Customs, my younger brother, the governor of the CBN, never represented, the deputy governor, younger brother Ikeazu, our partners, heads of agencies, heads of financial institutions, insurance companies invited, guests, ladies and gentlemen. As we gather here today, I'm proud to note the progress that we have made as a nation to protect our financial system from threats, foreign and domestic, that seek to harm our commonwealth and collective prosperity. As we seek to build a globally competitive economy which will enable us to enhance the livelihoods of our citizens, we must recognize the importance of ensuring that the integrity of our financial system is sacrosanct. We have made progress to tackle the threats of terrorism and other violent crimes through the gallant actions of our frontline troops and our security agencies. However, in line with the National Counter-Terrorist Financing Strategy, we have also enhanced our ability to identify and pursue those individuals that finance these violent acts. Through the efforts of the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, have prosecuted and convicted over 1,000 terrorist financiers in the last 2 years. By taking away their funds, resources and material support behind Boko Haram and ISWAP, we are denying them the ability to inflict terror on our communities and citizens. We are creating an environment in which our rural areas will thrive once again. This approach of targeting their finances is recognized as a global best practice in combating serious crime. It is an approach that we are utilizing as a fundamental component of our national strategy to combat serious criminal offenses. Beyond terrorist financing, we are effectively targeting the illicit proceeds of criminal activity. Through the National Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Strategy, the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, and the National Drug Control Master Plan, the efforts of our key law enforcement and prosecutorial authorities are targeted on disruption of the criminal financial networks. These strategies, in particular, target the most serious offenses, which has harmed the reputation of our country globally and caused significant difficulties to honest citizens traveling and doing business internationally. To enable more effective responses by our law enforcement agencies, this administration has invested significant resources into their operations, upgrading their human resources and technical capacity. We have also provided an enabling environment that prioritizes the rule of law, non-interference in their operations. As an outcome of the number of investigations and prosecutions being converted into convictions has continued to increase. These investigations are also targeting the organized groups and barons behind these crimes. The ultimate objective is to ensure that we dismantle the entirety of the networks that perpetrate these crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, this administration also recognizes the important role played by the private sector in our anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing framework. As the gates Keepers, our banks, capital market firms, lawyers and accountants are the first line of defense in a joint effort to protect our commonwealth. An efficient and effective private sector is a critical driving force for our economy and ambition to become a middle-income country in the very near future. Consequently, the importance of our regulatory and supervisory institutions cannot be overstated. Sustainable economic growth and development would only be possible in an environment of regulatory predictability and efficiency. Through the efforts of the CBN, the Central Bank, the Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the National Insurance Commission, we have established a fundamental framework to ensure our financial institutions are effectively supervised. The Special Control Unit against money laundering in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is also working assiduously to ensure the designated non-financial businesses and professions understand and implement their obligations under the extant AML/CFT/CPF legal regime. In particular, the Special Control Unit continues to enhance an effective collaborative effort through the private-public dialogue forum, working together across different sectors of our political economy to mitigate the threats that we face. Distinguished guests, as all of you will be aware, a key area of concern for our administration has been the inclusion of Nigeria on the list of jurisdictions under monitoring by the Financial Action Task Force, the so-called grey list. The listing of Nigeria in February 2023 has grave consequences for our economy, and the reputational damage is one that we must all take very seriously. As part of the inclusion of Nigeria on the list, Nigeria made a commitment at the highest political levels, the implementation of an action plan to address the deficiencies identified in our national AML/CVT/CPF framework. Through the leadership of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Interior, as the chair and co-chairs of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on AML/CFT/CPF and the coordination of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, we have made significant progress to implement this action plan. I am pleased to note the strong representation of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, at this summit. And I would like to reiterate the Financial Action Task Force and that this administration remains committed to completing all items on the action plan by the deadline of May 2025 and to existing the grey list. I thought we deserve an applause. However, our strategic objective does not end with just completing the action plan. Our end goal is to ensure that the entirety of our AML/CFT/CPF regime across both the public and private sectors performs at the highest levels of effectiveness, efficiency, and compliance. This goal encompasses the current efforts to exit the grey list, effective preparation for the on-site assessment once the action plan is completed, and the medium-term early preparation for the next mutual evaluation, which is due in 2027. These efforts will require the commitment of all stakeholders and the transformation of compliance in the necessary part of everyday business for all our organizations. This transformation reflects the changing global context within which our financial institutions are making their mark. As representatives of Nigeria, your adherence and lack thereof with global standards and regulations reflect a culture of compliance that we have established in Nigeria. The global community is increasingly intolerant of poor corporate behavior and governance. And as we seek to leverage a continental and international expansion of our financial sector, our regulatory and supervisory agencies must ensure the violations of extant regulations are met with the most proportionate and dissuasive sanctions. At this juncture, I would like to commend the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and their staff for the foresight in organizing this summit as we seek to chart a path towards progress. I also recognize the efforts of the NFIU, led by the Chief Executive Officer, Hafsat, the progress made not just on the implementation of ATF Action Plan to exit the grey list, but in its efforts to lead the efforts to strengthen Nigeria's AML/CFT framework. The NFIU is the National AML/CFT coordinating agency. The Secretariat of the Interministerial Committee and the National Sanctions Committee play a vital role in preventing and detecting serious crimes in our dear country. Indeed, the NFIU has continued to make valuable contributions to the economic development agenda of this administration by supporting federal and state revenue-generating agencies with data to improve domestic revenue mobilization. And the intelligence provided by NFIU is supporting investigation and prosecution of particularly complex money laundering and terrorist financing cases, while its leadership role in the regional and global AML/CFT arena has demonstrated Nigeria's commitment to international standards. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we commence this summit, I would like to urge you all to recommit yourselves to a collective goal of protecting the prosperity and well-being of our nation and our citizens. It is only through our collective vigilance and action that we can ensure that those who seek to subvert our institutions and our economy for their illegal purposes are detected and deterred. It is therefore my singular honor to declare this summit open. His Excellency Bola Tinubu, GCFR.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That brings us to the close of this session. With the permission of His Excellency, before we take the anthem, usually after a declaration like this, that brings us to the close of the opening session. And the technical session will start in 15 minutes. We're going to have group photograph just behind here. After the group photograph, and quickly, those who want to catch water, you understand what I mean by catching water? You catch that and we'll get back in about 15 minutes to start the technical session. But we'd like to have a good photograph with dignitaries before they go. And then For those of us who are taking sessions, please stay back and get a brief. We'll set up and the sessions will commence immediately after that. For the diplomatic corps members who want to express our appreciation to you, we actually designated one person to speak on behalf of the corps. Unfortunately, he had an appointment and he has to rush out. We want to apologize for that and thank you for this great partnership. We look forward to continuously working with you. Once again, we want to express our deep appreciation to every one of you for coming. In English words, there is no greater word to express appreciation than the word thank you. I want to say thank you to every one of us as we rise to take the national anthem, the third stanza for our prayers before we depart. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for having us. We proceed now to have the good photograph. For those of us, okay, so they're suggesting that we should have that here. So we use the podium. The dignitaries, please feel free to approach. And if you are still growing, you stay in the front. And if you are done growing, you go behind. Thank you very much.